These stories are taken from the book Salty the Dockside Diesel. Salty's Secret. All the engines on the island of Sodor love their work, but sometimes there is too much work. That's when the Fat Controller brings new engines to his railway. Salty the Dockyard Diesel is one of these engines. He loves to tell tales of the sea. We heave until the old freighter finally caught the tide. Ah, it's good to be useful. Salty is excited about coming to the island of Sodor. Islands are surrounded by the sea. Salty loves the sea. Soon Salty arrived at his new job. Ahoy, mateys! Salty, pride of the seven seas. I'm a new diesel and I'm here to give you some help. Bill and Ben didn't think they needed any help. Welcome to the China Clay Works, Boko said proudly. Salty looked all around. Everywhere he looked, he saw nothing but rocks. A quarry? He cried. There must be some mistake. I'm a dockyard diesel. You're a quarry diesel now, Boko said, and he explained that they had to complete an important job for the Fat Controller. Salty was sad that he wouldn't be working by the sea, but he knew what it meant to be a really useful engine, and he set to work at once. Ah well, Salty said, at least there'll be trucks. You better mind them. They can be a bother, Boko said. He won't last 5 minutes, said Bill. Those trucks will trick him up soon enough, said Ben. But to Bill and Ben's surprise, the trucks seemed to give Salty no trouble at all. Yo ho ho, and the buckerel prawns, the tiller spins, sang Salty. And the captain yards, sang the trucks. Thanks to Salty, the important job was almost done. Bill and Ben were surprised and a little jealous. Here comes Mr. Show-Off, growled Ben. You had to admit he's got a knack with those trucks, said Boko. Driver says he'll be bored the boats off us with his stories, huffed Bill. But Salty didn't say a word. He didn't come near the shed. Boko was worried. He rowed alongside and asked him what he was doing on his own. Oh, I thought I might catch a bit of sea breeze. You really do miss the sea, don't you? Asked Boko. Aye, said Salty. I do. But Salty knew the quarry work was important. The next day, he tried to show Bill and Ben his secret with the trucks. I like working to a musical rhythm, he said. And so do the trucks. Why don't you give it a try, me hearties? Here we go, here we go, here we go. No we don't, no we don't, no we don't. But try as they might, Bill and Ben could not move the trucks the way Salty could. Later that day, the Fat Controller came. He was surprised to see the job had been completed. Well done, said the Fat Controller. It was Salty, said Boko. We could have done it without him. Then I got a bigger job for you, Salty. Aye aye, sir. What kind of quarry is it? Quarry? I'm sending you to Brendan Docks. The docks, Salty exclaimed. The docks are hard by the sea. Oh, thank you, sir. This reminds me of the time in Biggity. And Salty was telling stories again. Salty loves Brendan Docks. He gets more work done than any 3 engines and feels really useful. And only the trucks know his secrets. The tiller spins and the captain yards. No sleep for Cranky. Brendan Docks is a very busy dockyard. It's where ships and engines and cranes alike are busy day and night, every day of the year. But poor Cranky the crane never gets a nap. He never gets to sleep early. He works all the time. And his only company are the gulls that settle on his arm. So Cranky is always cranky. Ahoy there, Cranky, cries Salty. Where have you been, snapped Cranky. And a good day to you too, Captain. Bill and Ben arrive for work. Hurry up, sparked Cranky. I haven't got all day. Well, you're no fun, grumbled Bill. You wouldn't be fun if you were stuck up here, snapped Cranky. So that's why you're cranky, said Bill. You're lonely, said Ben. I'm not, Cranky cranked. So it's company you would be needing, said Salty. Reminds me of a lonely old Grand Bank's lighthouse keeper. Not another one of your stories, cried Cranky. Oh, please, Salty. We haven't heard of it. We got time. Well, twas in the middle of a wee naughty storm, Salty began, the lights of which you could see once in a lifetime. This made Cranky very cranky, so cranky that he swung his arm around and dropped the pipes onto the tracks instead of the trucks. The pipes then crashed into a shed, which toppled over. Whoops, said Cranky meekly. You blown the main now, matey, said Salty. The engines were trapped. You're gonna get into trouble, sang Bill and Ben. The Fat Controller was in his office being measured for a new suit. When he heard the news, he left immediately for the docks. The Fat Controller knew that any delay at the docks could cause confusion. You have made a terrible mess, Cranky, he said sternly. I'm sorry, sir, Cranky whispered. You engines will have to stay here tonight until Harvey clears up this mess in the morning. Cranky's heart sank as Salty uttered those fateful words. That reminds me of a story. It was a bitter cold winter. The brave little ship was stuck until the ice melted the next spring. He barely made it around the Cape. After 100 scary days at sea without a scratch, he sailed into port and crashed his bow in 15 feet from my buffers. Luckily, no one was hurt. Except my ears, wailed Cranky. Salty spent all night telling tales of powerful storms, daring rescues, and brave little ships. And when the sun rose, he was still talking, and talking, and talking. I can't take any more, groaned Cranky. Harvey the crane engine arrived. The Fat Controller sent me to help clear away this mess, he puffed proudly. Cranky was so pleased the engines would be going soon, he forgot to be cranky. I'll never misbehave again, he promised, as long as I don't have to listen to any more salty stories. And after Harvey and the workmen had cleared the wreckage, Cranky worked hard all day. He carefully loaded the trucks, helped speed the engines on their way, and he said please and thank you. This is new, puffed Edward, but he had spoken too soon. Cranky couldn't help himself, and he dropped the pipes onto the tracks. It was nice while it lasts, said Boko, and all the engines laughed. But Cranky was still cranky. Salty Stormy Tale. One day, Thomas and Percy were helping Salty at the docks. This was the first time they had met him, and they got on well with him. But as they were working, Salty was worried. It may be sunny now, matey, but there'll be a storm coming. Thomas and Percy were intrigued away Salty, saying, It may be sunny now, matey, but there'll be a storm coming. Salty knew they were making fun of him. He didn't mind. Later on, the Fat Controller came to see him. Salty, I want you to fetch Derek from the works. His driver doesn't know the line. Aye, aye, sir, said Salty sadly. He explained it to Thomas and Percy where he was going. You two will manage the docks without me. I won't be back till tomorrow. Don't worry, Salty. We can manage, said Thomas. As the day went by, the sky grew darker. Look at those dark clouds, Thomas. There'll be a fierce storm on the way, said Percy. I hope he can manage, said Thomas. This one will be a lot worse than the last one. Salty arrived at the works where Derek was waiting. Trevor the traction engine is on a flatbed. He too was also sent to the works. Right, let's go, said Derek. Aye, but there's a storm coming, said Salty. We must hurry. Soon they were hooked up and on their way home. Salty was right about the storm. It was a fierce one. The ships at sea depend upon the lighthouse to keep them safe off the rocks. But now there was trouble. The lighthouse lamp has gone out, cried the captain. Salty, Derek, and Trevor were fighting their way through the wind and rain along the coastal track. Then Salty saw a lantern ahead. The lighthouse keeper was waiting for him. Our lighthouse lamp has gone out. Our generator is broken. Salty had an idea. Trevor has a flywheel. It could power the generator. Hurry! Shouted the lighthouse keeper. Trevor's flywheel was attached to the generator shaft. Without the lighthouse, the ship was steaming towards the rocks. Trevor was working as fast as he could. Finally, the generator came back to life. The lighthouse beam shone across the stormy seas once more. Just in time! Hard to starboard, matey! Called the captain. Salty's idea had saved the day. Trevor worked hard until first light. The next morning, Salty and Derek dropped off Trevor at the orchard and then chuffed back to the docks. They were surprised to see a crowd waiting for them. Thank you, said the captain. You had saved our ship. Well done, boomed the Fat Controller. Salty was very proud. Thomas and Percy pulled up alongside. How was it? They both asked. It is a stormy tale, me hearty, he said, and explained everything. Thomas and Percy were amazed. It's good to be back at the docks. Now let's get back to work, he said. Thomas and Percy could only agree. Gordon takes a tumble. Salty enjoyed his new life on Sodor and got on well with all the engines. Well, almost. Watch out, Gordon wished. You'll get my paint all sooty. Pulling trucks is a sooty job, teased Salty, but then you wouldn't know. Of course not, Gordon huffed importantly. Express engines don't pull trucks, it wouldn't be dignified. Dingy fry, puzzled Percy. What's that? Dignified, Gordon corrected. It means that someone's too big for his buffers, teased Salty. Pah, said Gordon, and he puffed away. That night, the Fat Controller came to the sheds. He was in a great hurry. Henry, Thomas, and Percy, he said, the docks are packed with waiting trucks. I want you to go there and help to sort out the mess. Yes, sir, they said. Then the Fat Controller turned to the big blue engine. You too, Gordon. I need a big engine to take the trucks where they won't be in the way. Trucks? Huffed Gordon. He could not believe what he had heard. Gordon wasn't happy to be pulling trucks. He waited impatiently while they were shunted into place. Hurry up, chuffed Gordon crossly. Why the rush, Gordon? Asked Thomas. If I must pull trucks, then I'll show Salty how an express engine pulls trucks, Gordon huffed. Careful, Captain, Salty tooted. You don't want to get too big for your buffers. But Gordon ignored Salty. The next morning, Gordon raced along with his heavy load. Now this is how you pull trucks. But the signalman had no idea Gordon was coming along, had accidentally left the point switch to the branch line. Gordon rattled through the junction. That's strange, I'm on the branch line. Oh no, the signalman cried. Express trains aren't supposed to go that way. But it was too late. Gordon had already raced into the distance. We'll have to go back, called his driver. No, this will waste time. We must keep going. This line will join back to the main line. There were signs warning all the trains to go slow. But Gordon ignored the signs. I'm an express engine, I don't go slow, he said, and he went even faster. The branch line couldn't take his weight and the rails buckled. Oh, help! Gordon cried as he slid off the tracks and into a field. He ran over a pile of hay, towards some tires, and into a barn. No one was hurt, but poor Gordon felt very undignified. What will the Fat Controller say? He groaned. He found out soon enough. Well, Gordon, the Fat Controller said, you wanted to show Salty a thing or two, and you certainly done that. You show him how silly it is to ignore go slow signs, and not alerting the signalman you were coming. Sorry, sir, said Gordon, and he let out a sad wheeze of steam. Gordon was very unhappy with himself as he was repaired and back at work. Everyone makes mistakes, said Thomas, even you. I'm sorry I teased you, said Salty. I'm sorry I was too big for my buffers, chuffed Gordon. And all the engines gave a jolly toot. Even Gordon.